Hello. This is just a second video, just a quick follow-on from what I was talking about. I said optogenetics a lot. I didn't really go into any detail about it. Again, I don't know much about it. I'm not a scientist or nothing, but I just looked up the definition here. I'll just read it out. So, optogenetics is a biological technique that combines genetic engineering and light to control the activity of specific cells in tissue. It is a type of neuromodulation that allows neuroscientists to control neurons and read or write patterns in the neurological activity of the brain. So I'm thinking this type of breakthrough with technology could have made the old stroke super soldier bunch obsolete, because you once you genetically engineer and you implant and like a a nanobot army inside of them, it's far more effective than a chip. And you see, perhaps with this you can remove the talent. As I was saying, you can remove the I'm talking about from the powers that be standpoint. You can remove the painstaking task of trying to find the talent, certain people. These central intelligence agencies that Barry King was subject to, and Athenian. You got them everywhere. They were weeding out, they were looking, they were tracking. But perhaps anybody that receives this technology enough and whose body takes to it, it can basically can do anything that the best psychic can. But it's obviously it's not coming from them. It's artificially induced. So I'm talking about voice to skull, telepathy both ways. I'm talking about remote viewing, going out of the body. I'm talking about things like that, mind reading person, knowing what another person is thinking. Especially if both have received the therapy, you will have this kind of telepathy. You know what I mean? Like the transhumanist type agenda, the singularity, and all of this thing. This thing could be potentially more powerful than any of the stuff that King and Athenian have been through and have been talking about. It makes that obsolete. Another thing, it could be nonsense, but if the whole ET smokescreen has been blown and the general public didn't take to it, what with the whistleblowers like Bill Cooper and people like that, maybe the chip is really off the cards, because the ET was an excuse to actually say to put it in there. It can either you were abducted and you were chipped by the ET, or the government has abducted you and chipped you because you've got to be safe, because we need to watch you in case you get abducted. That could have been it. Maybe they were forced to make another technology or something, but maybe this was just naturally the next stage. So the optogenetic thing is something that's on my mind. Again, Thomas Sherwin mentioned it. So I have to give him credit, but I'm trying to expand on this thing. Memory wipes and memory holes is something that King and Athenian spoke of, and other people that have been through this MK Ultra type treatment. And another one is memory implants. Having false memories implanted into them as well. That's another one. Just confusing events, almost being like an episodic, and I think that's the word for it, where you can't piece anything together in order from A, B, C, D. It's just all a scramble, and you're trying to make sense of it. These people, they've tried to piece their life together, because they'll have memories, but they're thinking, where was this from? If you have control over somebody's brain waves, you can get them to think and believe anything. You can wipe things, you can put them in, you can mix memories around. They won't know where they are. It's frightening, and you don't need a chip to do it. That's the thing. So I think this is a real threat. But another one I want to add, and this is important, is a way out. is not optogenetics, epigenetics, as in your psyche, your will, power, your consciousness controls your genetics and your DNA and your body, and you can overcome anything. Now, Thomas Sheridan mentioned it about people who had the prickly, and if they know what's happened to them and they admit it, that's the first powerful step. That's half of it, I think. And then, you know, through your consciousness, through your will of power, you say, get out. You know, I reject it. I reject you. You can, I believe he's right. I believe that you can beat it that way. And again, this is important. I think it's admitting that you made foolish decisions, and you're not going to do it anymore, and you're going to tell people, you know, your mistake, so people learn from you. That is powerful. That, I believe, that has an epigenetic effect on your biology and your psyche. You're being honest with your soul, and you're being honest with your body, and you feel bad for yourself, you feel bad for your body, and you value your health. I think that this is really powerful. You know, mind over matter. So, you know, epigenetics, you know, instead of optogenetics, right? If you have this stuff inside you. There was an interview I watched with a guy, a young man, interviewed by that guy Campbell, that doctor or nurse Campbell, who even took some himself, didn't he? He interviews lots of people. You probably know what I'm talking about. You can look him up anyway. He interviewed a young man, and this young man, he'd had 3, and he was feeling it. He felt it through the first, second, third. It destroyed his life. He was physical. He liked to go to the gym. He liked hiking. He had a physical job. He was getting on with his life, and his heart suffered. His nervous system, immune system, he's a wreck. He was suffering from trauma because the doctors weren't telling him anything. They were like almost gaslighting him, telling him, "Oh, it's all in your head," and he knew, you know, instinctively something's wrong with his body. He's frightened for his life, and one time in this interview I watched, he was saying there was this time when he was in bed, and this is, I believe, he had a spiritual experience of like overcoming dark night of the soul. I think he was holding a cross, and he said, you know, he prayed and he said, "Please God, if you can help me overcome this, if I can get through this physical torture, and I can come back and I can kind of get my strength back again," he said, "I will spend the rest of my life helping people that have gone through what I've gone through and warning people." And I believe that that will save that guy. I believe that that will heal his body, taking responsibility, and that having something strong inside. I think he's got something stronger inside of him than he had to begin with. Even though I wouldn't wish it on anybody, I think that was his path, that was his hero's journey. And I do believe that there are many people who had taken this experiment and that were honest. And this is the thing. This guy was innocent and honest, and it was his innocence that helped him. He wasn't ignoring what had happened to him. He wasn't saying, "Oh well, if I take another." That point, there was peer pressure, but eventually he said no, and it was his transparency that saved him. I think. At least touch wood. I hope he's okay. And it's almost like that was the dark night of the soul that almost kind of evolved and built his soul, if you know what I mean. But this is the way out, because if not, I think the optogenetic technology, if it's involved in it, can take effect on people. Remember, you know, go back to Schwab's and the Weffers. Schwab's saying, you know, the fourth industrial revolution is about changing you from the inside. Like the Noah chap, he's talking about artificial immune systems, but I think Schwab's is talking about an artificial consciousness, AI consciousness, with, you know, whatever intelligence maybe or entities that are out there with it. But the people who want to forget, right? And this is the thing. The people who want to forget, regardless of any kind of MK Ultra technology making you forget or wiping memory and blah blah blah. You know, the human psyche is powerful. If you want to forget, you'll forget. People forget through trauma. People forget when they are a little ashamed and embarrassed A shame really makes people want to forget, and if they want to, they can. That is I think that is almost like perhaps a MK Ultra kind of method, similar to the torturing of the person until they break, and then that's when the new personalities can come in and the programming really begins. I think perhaps that the normies wanting to forget through shame, anger, trauma as well, psychological trauma that they might be feeling that something's inside them, or even the physical trauma that they've had through their injuries, they're still not admitting it, or